60 seconds. Seconds. And in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Parnell Park for this go-ahead Dublin Senior 1 Championship encounter of Kilmacud Crokes and Castleknock, throw-in coming up shortly at 4 o'clock. We've already had one game today. That was a pretty dramatic one. St. Sylvester's losing out by 1 point to Skerries in the end. That, of course, in this group. These two both won their opening encounters. Kilmacud Crokes beating St. Sylvester's and Castleknock beating Skerries. So the winners of this highly likely to go through to the quarterfinals. Coleman Goggins, what are you expecting from it?
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's hard not to look past Crokes, given the firepower that they have. Obviously, All-Ireland champions, so they've everything in their favour. Castleknock, you know, they've been here a couple of years ago, certainly coming back again into it under new management. So it'll be interesting to see what they bring to the game, to see how they can maybe, you know, impact the Crokes performance. You'd certainly expect Crokes, you know, with the pace and power that they have, that they'll get over the line. But sometimes they don't always fire in the group game, so you give yourself Castleknock, can they give themselves an opportunity to get some scores early, maybe get an early goal and put Crokes on the back foot, and then see what, you know, questions you can ask and see if you can get some points out of add some points to the tally they already have within the group.
We'll come back to this game in just a moment, but in Group 4, St. Jude's have beaten St. Vincent's. So going into the last round of fixtures there, Jude's are on 4 points, having played 2 games. Nafina on 2 points, having played 2 games. Vincent's on 2 points, having played 2 games. And Whitehall Columkill on no points, having played 2 games. It is St. Jude's and Whitehall Columkill and Vincent's and Nafina in the last round of fixtures. So that's a big game, isn't it, Vincent's and Nafina, with the winners going through to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, massive game, because it really is a winner takes all. Like Jude's and Whitehall, while Whitehall have, you know, had a great year last year, have struggled really to get going this year, again dropping points yesterday. So they go into that Jude's game knowing they need points to try and avoid, you know, a relegation game for them. The flip side of that is Vincent's, by winning their first game and then obviously losing to Jude's yesterday, they're now in a position where they could certainly make a quarter-final. And Nafina, while they were good yesterday, really clinical in front of goal, you know, Vincent's would fancy an opportunity against Nafina and the local rivalry, certainly.
In Group 3 at 4 o'clock, Coola take on Lucan. We'll have updates from that game, provided that one of the clubs tweets it. When I say my sources in O'Toole Park, you now all know I mean Twitter, right? Let's have a look at the teams for this game. Couple of changes for Kilmacud Crokes. We'll get to that in a second. One change for Castleknock. Tom Quinn doesn't start. He's replaced by Shay Boland, but no lack of experience from Shay Boland there. Gets up and down the park, makes things happen. Dara Warnock and Kevin Stevenson very steady in midfield. Senan Forker, Conor Chalk and Kieran Kilkenny about as good as a half-forward line as it gets. McDermott, Rowe, Swan and McDaniel all capable of winning ball and scoring as well.
Yeah, look, there's a clear standout name in terms of Kieran Kilkenny, but the thing that Castleknock do brilliantly is they perform as a team every time they hit the field. So they've great experience across the group. Their half-forward line you mentioned, really powerful. The inside line not bad at getting scores either. Particularly McDermott Rose, real busy inside there. You know, pushes the button all the time to try and get things working. But defensively, watch out for Rob Shaw, wing back. Loves to maraud up the field and is fairly handy at adding a score or two to his name. So interested to see, can, from an attacking point of view, their wing back, half back line cause problems for Crokes.
Let's have a look at the Kilmacud Crokes team. There are changes to the side named during the week. Paul Mannion is in. Aidan Jones is out. A late change, Dara Mullen is out. He has been replaced by Shane Walsh. Not a bad player to be able to bring in to the team.
Yeah, but what about the, the two off the bench, both Mannion and Shane Walsh? You know, to see the two of them in action, you know, you pay the admission fee alone for that. I suppose, look, where Crokes, straight down the middle of the field there, huge experience, huge, strength and depth. You look at Craig Dice, Rory O'Carroll in the middle of the field. Shane Cunningham, and then that's backed up, Theo Clancy in the full back line. Be interested to see who slots into the number 6. Maybe O'Carroll will drop out there, but then you head into the forwards. So there's just scores everywhere. So defensively, Castleknock will need to bring their A game. Crokes will certainly ask a lot of questions. It's just a matter, can Castleknock deal with the threat that's coming in the shape of Mannion, Shane Walsh, but even take them out of the equation. Darragh Mullion's been brilliant for them. Hugh Kenny, a hard worker. And then that half-forward line, Horan and Cunningham, brilliant all the time for Kilmacud Crokes.
And in some late changes to numbers being worn on the bench, Tom Fox wears number 28, Dan Murphy wears number 27. Those two were supposed to wear different jerseys, but now they're wearing 27 and 28. Kilmacud Crokes in the white, Castleknock in the blue and gold. This should be a good encounter. Castleknock, very good in the last couple of years, very consistent. Kilmacud Crokes, obviously, 2 in a row Dublin champions, 2 in a row Leinster champions, and of course, last year's AIB All-Ireland club winners.
Yeah, I don't know if you could have given them any more big ups there, Rushy, in fairness to
I'm stating facts.
They've been brilliant, standout team across the championship. When the difficulty for the teams who are competing to win Dublin Championship is they're waiting on guys to come back out of a Dublin setup. So there's always a challenge in fellas settling in. You think of Shane Walsh, Paul Mannion, they've had inter-county seasons, and then you're trying to bed them back into a team who's been playing league matches without them. So the first round of matches is always very difficult for those teams, I find. You look at Ballymun, Ballybowden, those teams where there's guys coming back into the setup. They've now had probably 6 weeks together. Hopefully a couple of those. Paul Mannion has been a little bit more sober than he was maybe in the original couple of weeks on the back of Dublin's All-Ireland success. So then you'll start to see the true Kilmacud come to the fore, and what Robbie Brennan then has at his disposal in terms of the options he has. So for Castleknock, you're hoping that they're still just growing into that stage and to give themselves an opportunity. But when Crokes hit full tilt, it's going to be very difficult for a lot of the teams below them to try and live with them, give them the pace, power, experience, and that firepower that they have up front. Really challenging to try and mine that for 60 plus minutes in a championship match.
A real Meath feeling about the sidelines today. Obviously, you've got Robbie Brennan for Kilmacud Crokes. Bernard Flynn has now joined the Kilmacud Crokes setup. And Brian Farrell, the former Meath player, is managing Castleknock. We're about to get underway. Kilmacud Crokes in the final huddle. I'm always interested to hear what players are saying in those huddles. Last year and the year before, Castleknock reached the quarterfinals. The year before that, they were knocked out in the group stage, which would be a real disappointment to Castleknock considering the standard of player that they have. But they have been to the final in recent times, and I think they're more than capable of getting back there.
Yeah, well, look, they're still only a very new club. They're not a long time on the go. So to get to a Dublin final when they did a couple of years ago was a massive achievement for them. So there's still a lot of youth that's coming through. They're very successful underage in terms of the numbers that they have. So in time, they're going to grow to be a much bigger club than they potentially are now. Kilmacud Crokes are obviously a long way down the road in terms of the numbers they have across their club, both underage and at senior level. But Castleknock will get there. But 15 on 15, they definitely have lots of talent potential. They have some decent defenders, Castleknock, so they'll have a big job of work to do today. Interesting that Rob Shaw is matching up against Paul Mannion. So it'll be an interesting battle to see if Paul Mannion can stop Rob Shaw going the other way. We're off and running.
Crokes with a pair of youngsters in midfield, Rory O'Carroll and Craig Diaz.
Yeah, but what a servant Rory O'Carroll has been. Brilliant last year for the club all through the season. And again, back for another year. Tremendous servant for the club.
Shane Horan to Diaz. Recycle it out to Shane Cunningham. Mannion takes a shot on. Mannion, who was so good in the All-Ireland final for Dublin, puts it over.
Yeah, well, how many times have we seen that step back into the pocket, so to speak, and then he knocks it over the bar? The game before this, Skerry Harps had a left-footed kicker, Killian McGuinness, who was outstanding, and that's the level that Paul Mannion brings as well. Can't afford to step off him. You've really got to push up on him.
Tom Shields did really well there. It was a good kick-off from Morven Connolly. And getting in there, Paul Mannion at the cost of a line ball. But it stopped Castleknock attacking quickly down the park. The athleticism that we're going to see out on that pitch today will be frightening. And the hits as well. These two teams absolutely super fit. The intended target is Luke Swan. Luke Swan couldn't keep it in play, and it's a line ball to Kilmacud Crokes.
Yeah, it did well initially, but I think it did cross the line. Flag is raised. You can just see the press that Crokes are putting on. Every ball is going to be hard won from a Castleknock perspective. You've got to make sure in possession, you've got to try and create a little bit of space. But it's going to be a tough ask over the next 60 minutes.
Rory O'Carroll, if you get the chance, not right now, Grant, but if you get the chance later, his interview for the GA Social podcast with Thomas Niblock and Oisin McConville, well worth a listen. Here he is again, Rory O'Carroll. O'Carroll having a look around, going short to Mannion. Mannion Good fist in there. Going for it was Dara Dempsey. Didn't get to it. Shoveled off by Forker. Dara Warnock. Can Castleknock get on the front foot here? Owen O'Brien chasing after it. Mark O'Leary for company. Mark O'Leary. Theo Clancy. It's lost by Crokes. It's a good turnover. Here's Kieran Kilkenny. Kilkenny. Great score. They battled for it. They earned it. Kieran Kilkenny. Fantastic work from him.
Yeah, great score. Brilliant left-footed score from Paul Mannion to open the score for Crokes, but an equally good one from Kieran Kilkenny. Great work.
Oh, it's intercepted by Conor Chalk. Chalk against O'Carroll. Chalk takes his point.
Oh, you wonder, was there a goal chance on when he picked up the ball initially? Ferris was a mile out from goal. If he'd maybe taken it first time, let's just look at it again. I'm not quite sure where he was trying to go. There's the pass, the goal was on. O'Carroll did well to stay with him. He turned him inside out. You know, I think early on he probably could have gone for the goal chance there. Chalk did brilliant on the kick out. Great score. Ferris under pressure early doors.
Swan from Stevenson. Swan spots the run. That's a really good ball. And a really good finish. Excellent from Boland.
Oh, what an opening for Castleknock. I was praising Kilmacud and the power and the pace they were going to bring, but they put a great squeeze on Conor Ferris' kick out, won another one in the middle of the field.
Forker, yeah, put it over.
Brilliant score within 3 minutes, 3 points.
Conor Ferris took too long. They have that Crokes defence rattled. 3 scores from the half-forward line.
Yeah.
Forker, Chalk, Kilkenny.
Yeah, brilliant. And I mentioned the pressure they're putting on Ferris. To delay Kilmacud Crokes, you have to stop primary possession. So that's what they've been trying to do from the get-go here. You know, they almost got a goal chance off a kick-out on it. They have a score from another bad kick-out and then an overplay. Can they win the break?
Kilkenny! Oh. I'm not sure he couldn't keep his shot down. He didn't keep his shot down. From that angle, and considering he had a Crokes player hanging off him, he probably just did the right thing. Take your score. That's 2 for him. Castleknock now lead by 3.
That's an unbelievable 3 minutes for Castleknock. The throw ball there, they win the break. It leaves Kieran Kilkenny inside the defensive line for Kilmacud Crokes. I'm not so sure that, you know, he didn't try and should have kept ahead. Another bad kick out.
Dara Warnock intercepted. Kilkenny is there. It's Kilkenny. McDaniel. We know he can score. McDaniel. He knew as soon as he kicked it, it was going wide. He put his hands on his head.
Well, there must be a call coming from the sideline to do something different for Conor Ferris, and on kickouts, can't afford to give another one away. They really allowing Castleknock play into this.
Ball falls kindly for Kilmacud Crokes. Horan setting Kenny away. Now it's Shane Walsh. He's the man you want on the ball at the moment. Well, talk about commentators' curse. Connolly saving. The Mayo man saving from the Galway man. Fumbled out of defence, but Kieran Murphy just keeps it ahead of him. Here's Boland. Boland bottled up. Clever ball to Rob O'Shea. Shaw. Forker. Forker squeezes through a gap. Luke Swan. Swan wants it back. Doesn't get it back. Dara Warnock. Warnock out in front to McDaniel. McDaniel. Chalk is running through. Chalk! It's a mesmeric goal. It's fantastic from Conor Chalk.
Well, we gave him maybe a bit of criticism for not taking the chance before that on the kick out from Ferris, but what a goal from Castleknock. Brilliant move, quick hands, brilliant ball inside when the foot pass came inside to Tommy McDaniel. McDaniel spooned it out again to Chalk, and a brilliant finish into the corner net. An outstanding goal from Castleknock and a brilliant start inside the first 6 minutes.
Shane Horan, the former Offaly footballer. He's got Shane Cunningham out wide. Goes to Cunningham. Back inside to Horan. Horan! It's a goal for Crokes. That's a response and a half.
Oh, brilliant finish from Horan. It looked like they'd overcooked it with a couple of too many passes. Horan got in the end of it despite Rob Shaw's best efforts on the goal line. It drops into the net. Pity from a Castleknock perspective to allow them back into the game so quickly, but just shows the level of Kilmacud Crokes that when they get a run on you, they're not going to sit back. They're going to push for that goal as they did, and a great finish from Horan.
Swan tried to keep it in, he couldn't. This is a real heavyweight contest, isn't it? We're talking about 2 contenders for the title, definitely. Craig Diaz. Following their win against Vincent's earlier on, St. Jude's might consider themselves a contender. That game going on in O'Toole Park. We'll get a latest score from Coola and Lucan in just a moment. Here's Rory O'Carroll. Fouled the ball, free out.
Yeah, he's saying he didn't take it back into his hand, but he used his hand to move the ball along. No real sweeper in play. I think the game is just so open. Wouldn't have expected it so early to see the amount of scores we've seen, but brilliant opening. And as you rightly said, two heavyweights happy to go after each other here. Brilliant.
McDermott row. Craig Diaz will try and get on the end of that. Rob O'Shea bravely picks it up. Has an outball, uses the outball. Shields wants it on this side, gets it. Shields up against Horan. Luke Swan. Owen O'Brien. Swan. Rob Shaw's outside, goes short instead. Mannion is following him. Shaw. Chalk. Stevenson. It's kind of slowed down now, both teams, I think, drawing breath. Shields. O'Brien outside. Kilkenny thought about having a go. O'Carroll was shielding him. Kilkenny gets onto the break. O'Brien wants it back, didn't get it back. Crokes keeping Castleknock out wide, but Castleknock keeping the football. Here's Rob O'Shea. Kieran Murphy giving him directions, receiving the ball. Murphy might have a go himself. He does. Mannion put him off, I think. Ferris takes it.
Yeah, great work from Mannion to cut across. Just when the space was in front of him, Mannion shut it down. Put enough pressure on to work a turnover.
Back to Ferris it goes. Theo Clancy. Dan O'Brien allows it to fall his way. Mannion is making a burst in front of him. Mannion runs onto it. Shaw for company. Mannion, not sure what happened there. Shields got to him. And now Rob Shaw has the football. Really good defending by Castleknock.
Yeah, brilliant from Shields. Just came in on the blind side to get a hand in just as Mannion was going to pull the trigger. Great tracking back, helping out your man marking duties. Rob Shaw needs help around him to ensure they don't have the impact, both Walsh, Mannion and the other Kilmacud Croke forwards.
Shields. Shields trying to get away from Mark O'Leary. Swan. Clancy chasing him. Swan stays going. Good tackle. Here's Shane Walsh. Long ball from Fox. Good ball as well to Hugh Kenny. Hugh Kenny for Mannion. Probing around the square, Shane Cunningham. Mannion goes back outside. Here's Horan. Andy Fox was making a burst through. Wasn't spotted by Cian O'Connor. Horan. Shane Cunningham. Great feed by Shane Cunningham. Shane Cunningham still going. That's a really good finish on the half volley by Shane Cunningham.
Yeah, it looked like he'd lost control of it. Keeper was coming out to meet him, but did well to wrap his boot around it to get a second goal for Crokes. Brilliant run. Probably went by the Castleknock defender a little bit too easy, but then when he got in on goal, when he'd lost control of it, you thought Mervyn Connolly be able to come out and close him down, but he did well just to lift it over the goalkeeper and into the net. A great response from Crokes. 1-4 to 1 down after 6 minutes, and after replying with 2 goals from their half forward, Shane Horan, and the second one from Cunningham.
Level for the second time in the game. Forker. He's jet-heeled, Forker, isn't he? He wasn't fouled. Here's Kilkenny. Runner in behind. Kilkenny might just take it on himself. No, gives it to McDaniel. McDaniel, he's so jinxy. Back to Kilkenny. Kilkenny. That's an exquisite score from Kieran Kilkenny.
Yeah, great point from Kieran Kilkenny. Probably left the pass a little bit short inside to Tommy McDaniel. McDaniel did well to win it, sliding the ground, then pop it back to Kilkenny, who pops it over the bar. Great start, his 3rd point in the half.
All from play. All good scores. Mannion is trying to get there. Shaw defended it really well. Won the ball fantastically. Luke Swan. Castleknock respond really well to that second Kilmacud Crokes goal.
Yeah, great score from Swan. Brilliant work by Rob Shaw. Mentioned that he likes to come forward, so while he's been tasked with minding Paul Mannion, did well to win it and also set up the score. 2 nice scores for Castleknock.
Horan tries to get there and does. Down the line it goes. Mark O'Leary has to be careful. Gets a bump from Owen O'Brien. Referee says it was a shoulder into the back rather than shoulder on shoulder. Horan. Craig Diaz. Part of the Dublin panel that won the All-Ireland. Never gave up on his Dublin dream, Craig. Had a long gap between when he kind of exited the squad and when he went back in. O'Carroll. Shane Walsh. Cian O'Connor. Cian O'Connor just drawing in defenders, giving it to Shane Walsh. Theo Clancy. Paul Mannion. Mannion and Shaw having a really good battle. Mark O'Leary. Hugh Kenny. Mannion from Kenny. Kenny trying to get away from Shields. Kenny lets one go. Kenny kicks it wide.
Yeah, did well. He created a little bit of space himself. First wide for Kilmacud. Heading up to the quarter hour. What a start to the game. You know, brilliant. 1-6 to 2-1. Probably didn't expect to see as many goals. And if we did think we'd see them, we thought it'd be all Kilmacud. But Castleknock brilliant in the opening quarter.
Stevenson. Forker. Dara Warnock. O'Carroll gets his hand on it but can't stop it falling for Ger McDermott Rowe. Ger McDermott Rowe is after picking out McDaniel. He's got a runner inside and Boland. It's McDaniel. McDaniel, can he squeeze that one over? He can. Excellent from McDaniel.
That's a brilliant score from McDaniel. The run, he jinked to go right, then shot across the back of Dan O'Brien to come left looking for the pass. Managed to pick up the pass, turn back on himself to hit a great score. 5 out of the starting 6 Castleknock forwards are on the scoreboard. Brilliant stuff from them up front.
I love forwards like him and the likes of Rob Finnerty from Salthill Knocknacarra. They're just killers, aren't they? They're just old school corner forwards.
That was brilliant. His movement was excellent there. He showed twice, first right, then came left, and that's where he created the space from. Keep saying it when you're coaching players. It's not the first one, it's often the
Great
second
ball
or
by
third
Cian
one.
O'Connor. Shane Cunningham takes his point this time.
Yeah, brilliant from Shane Cunningham. He's brilliant for getting on the end of those moves. He's always moved from that half forward line. He's never stagnant. He'll mix his runs. He'll go inside for a while, come back out, but he's always looking to get on the end of passes.
Dara Dempsey took that one and gave it to Cunningham. Cunningham put it over. Rob O'Shea. Luke Swan. Kieran Murphy. Looks really composed. Looks like he's got all the time in the world. Crokes pushing up a bit here. Kenny, but Boland gets around him. Boland trying to get away. Kilkenny. Owen O'Brien. Great running from Owen O'Brien. McDaniel. Back to O'Brien, who was tugged back by Shane Horan. It's a free in. We mentioned that Shane Horan is a former Offaly player. There's an Offaly legend on the sideline for Castleknock, Niall McNamee, part of their backroom team. You can see a lot of McNamee in their shooting, can't you?
Yeah, brilliant. The movement up front is great. When you're bringing in somebody of Niall McNamee's experience and how gifted he is as a footballer, if you can embed a little bit of what you know into this group, and you have the likes of Kieran Kilkenny working with you, and they're good forwards anyway. It's just trying to add a different dimension to it, probably reflecting in the way they're playing from an attacking point of view at the moment.
Here's McDaniel. He already has one from play. Can he add one from a free? No, not right now anyway.
Probably a bit of a breeze that was blown into that golf course end during the first game. I'm not so sure it's as strong in the second game.
Well taken by Dara Dempsey. Sets Shane Horan free. Kenny's probing around the square. Horan goes outside to Shane Cunningham. Running onto it is Dara Dempsey, who floats it over. Good score from Dara Dempsey.
Yeah, great score from Kilmacud to very wide and brought it back inside. There was a couple of big runs inside that no one picked out the pass. Dempsey landed late, stick it over the bar. Great score.
And he justifies those luminous green boots. Kieran Murphy. Murphy runs into a bit of trouble. Over carries it free to Kilmacud Crokes.
Yeah, I think he might have got away with it the first time, but second time as the three converged on him, he wasn't sure what he was looking to do with the ball. Turns it over.
Castleknock playing with the breeze, by the way, in this first half. Here's James Murphy. Cian O'Connor. Dara Dempsey runs in behind. Dara Dempsey has it. Dara Dempsey off the woodwork, and it rebounds kindly for Conor Chalk. Senan Forker. Rob Shaw. Warnock wants it and gets it. Warnock trying to get away from Horan. Good running by Warnock. Spilt it, lost it. Murphy picks it up. He's fouled free out.
Yeah, I think just in that move was Owen O'Brien just lost his footing when Crokes got inside him. Would have been a third goal. Just comes back off the upright. Saves Castleknock. Crokes moving a lot better in the last couple of minutes.
Cian O'Connor has time to drop it and regather. Chalk shadowing him all the way. Mannion. Mannion taking on Kevin Stevenson. Mannion. Kilkenny tangling up with Mannion. Kilkenny, who was at the American football at the Aviva yesterday, parading the Sam Maguire. Brendan Martin was there too. Diaz. Diaz. Shaw for company. Still Diaz. Diaz, that's a good block. And Castleknock will go on the counter-offensive.
Yeah, great work again from Rob Shaw, stuck with Diaz, turned back on himself, managed to get a strong hand on it to get the block, turns it back over for Castleknock.
Shields goes long. Crokes have an extra body back there. Was there a foul committed by James Murphy? Referee says no. Andy Fox. That's a good pass. Hugh Kenny. Hugh Kenny. Rory O'Carroll. Dan O'Brien. Paul Mannion. Mannion. And that's what you call a typical Mannion score.
Beauty, delayed his run coming into the play, picks it up and sticks it over the bar to tie it up to 4-1-7. Just how he delayed the run coming into the move. Curls it over, ball is inside.
It'll be a throw ball. I was going to say a hot ball, but they don't hop it. Warnock and Diaz will contest as the weather begins to turn again. You can feel the drizzle in the air. Diaz gets his hands on it. Cunningham. Fox. Mannion. Mannion looking for a third point. There might be something more for Crokes. Battling for it is Hugh Kenny. He couldn't get there. Shane Walsh on it now. Shane Walsh! That's brilliant from Shane Walsh. Well, I was going to say he just pulled on it. He didn't just pull on it. He actually knew exactly what he was doing. Knew exactly where he was placing it. Good goal.
Yeah, it was funny how it broke. I wasn't sure, maybe there was a little nudge in the back from Shane Walsh. Mannion's ball is dropping short. Connolly comes out to put a strong fist in it. An opportunity for the Castleknock man to drop. Maybe he could have bent on it to pick it up, but either way, Walsh did brilliant. Once the ball broke, he tucked it into the corner. Great finish.
Owen O'Brien, Luke Swan, Rob O'Shea, Rob Shaw. It's a good run. Shields. What have Castleknock got by way of a response? Every time they've conceded here, they've managed to get a goal or a point or something. Stevenson, Kilkenny. Kilkenny looking for his fourth. All from play. That's brilliant from Kieran Kilkenny.
Yeah, brilliant, because Stevenson had the ball, but Kilkenny demanded it from him. Throw it back to me, I'm the one to get you the score, and he did. Backed himself, knocked it over the bar. Brilliant score, and once again, a great response to the goal.
Ferris running after it is Forker. He'll just let it go out for a line ball. Choke. Forker. Inside the square was Ger McDermott Rowe. He wanted it, he didn't get it. Inside the big square, I should say. Here's Tommy McDaniel. McDaniel trying to dance through. Choke. Choke picks out Ger McDermott Rowe. Can he turn the defender? No, he can't, but he doesn't give away the possession. Luke Swan. McDaniel. Another fine point from Castleknock. A second from Tommy McDaniel.
Yeah, brilliant. Never even looked up. Knew exactly where he wanted to send it. Picked it up real quick, and before anyone had a chance to get to him, stuck it over the bar. You know, 2 on the spin from Castleknock. Brilliant response to the goal that came from Shane Walsh.
So 9 and 4. That's 13 plays 12. 1 between them. Dan O'Brien. Craig Diaz. The quality of scores in this game has been immense, hasn't it?
Yeah, brilliant. And you don't often expect it, because you have teams who are, you know, we'll leave it, brilliant.
Oh, great steal by Kevin Stevenson, yep. Kieran Kilkenny.
You expect teams to set up defensive. You maybe don't expect it to be as open as it is, but they've really backed themselves to go after the game. And the point taken has been excellent from both sides.
Kilkenny.
Goals haven't been bad either, mind you.
They haven't been bad at all. Waiting for it was Forker, didn't come to him. Trying to make a burst out in front is McDaniel. He's claiming he was fouled by James Murphy. McDaniel slips, regathers. McDaniel sets himself, shoots. Doesn't manage to squeeze that one over.
Nah, he's unlucky. I think he probably was fouled the first time he showed. Didn't come his direction from the referee in terms of the free that was given, but took it on. Unlucky to pull it on the wrong side. They're causing problems inside. When the ball is let in, you can see McDaniel is really hungry for it, looking to try and create something inside.
Cian O'Connor. Choke, shadowing O'Connor. O'Connor gets it to Shane Walsh. Judging by that last finish, Galway United might be his next move. Shane Cunningham. Paul Mannion. Galway United, who will be a Premier Division outlet next season. Paul Mannion, who's a Shamrock Rovers fan, I think. That's well gathered. There could be another goal for Crokes. Hugh Kenny can't keep his shot under.
Yeah, I think the defender did enough just to annoy Hugh Kenny to not allow him get the goal, which would have been important. High ball in from Mannion, probably looking to get his own score. Just dropped, and Kenny did brilliant to pick it up and stick it over the bar.
That might be intercepted by Andy Fox. Fox. Cunningham thought he was away, but the referee says we'll have to go back and do that again.
Yeah, it was great work. Andy Fox coming across to catch it. No, bashed into his own man, but he looks okay. Looks good to keep going. Look at the scoreboard, you know, 3 goals scored, 8 scores to Castleknock's 10, so they're well in the game. It's just that the goals have come for Crokes.
14 plays 12 when you make the conversion. There's James Murphy, a sticky cornerback.
The best kind, I believe.
Theo Clancy, the only kind. Cian O'Connor. Clancy continues his run. Is he fouled by McDaniel? He is.
Yeah, I think just the feet accidentally tangled and he went to ground on the back of it. I don't think the initial hand was the foul. You know, he's devastating up front, but he's happy enough to get back and do a bit of the donkey work too to help out the team.
Shane Walsh, Theo Clancy. Mark O'Leary. Thought he might fancy a goal, gave it to Craig Diaz instead. Cunningham. Up against Shields. Cunningham just lost his concentration for a second, then turns it over. Good work by Cunningham. Mark O'Leary. Mark O'Leary, pressurised by Kilkenny, kept his head, gave it to James Murphy. Cian O'Connor is the intended target. He gets there and gets inside McDaniel. Here's Shane Walsh. 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 Connolly does well. But Crokes have it back. Recycle out to Shane Cunningham. Back it goes to Dempsey. Dan O'Brien. Cunningham. That's Mannion, I beg your pardon. Mannion. O'Carroll. James Murphy. Back to O'Carroll. Shane Walsh. Theo Clancy. Shane Horan. James Murphy was watching on as Cian O'Connor took it. O'Connor. And O'Connor extends Kilmacud Crokes' lead, his first of the game.
Yeah, that's a great Kilmacud Crokes score. They've probably held on to the ball for a couple of minutes there. They've worked it over and back. They didn't want to give the ball away or take an opportunity that wasn't on. Eventually, it's Cian O'Connor who comes through, where there was a small bit of space given the huge work that Castleknock had tried to put in to prevent the passes. But a really great score, really patient work from Kilmacud.
And now all 6 of their starting forwards have scored. That's almost the case on the other side as well with Castleknock. Dermot Rowe, the only one not to score yet. But you get the feeling that stat will be amended fairly soon. That's a good interception by Owen O'Brien. Now it's Kieran Murphy. Shields, Forker. Forker having a look up. There's not much on, so we had to go short to Kilkenny. Here's Rob Shaw. Luke Swan in front of him. Shaw will go for it himself, and Shaw gets it. Brilliant from Shaw.
Well, it would have been a surprise if he didn't back himself. He's so good coming forward. Generally, he gets up the field for Castleknock. He's a different job today in that he's tagging Paul Mannion, and he's doing relatively well on Mannion, in fairness to him. Once he got on the end of that, there was only going to be one decision. Stick it over the bar, which he does. Good response to Crokes' score.
Cian O'Connor. This game flying by. Shane Cunningham. Cunningham carries. Shane Walsh. Shane Walsh sold Rob O'Shea the dummy. Shane Walsh kicks it wide.
Yeah, probably could have gone on the left before he turned back on himself, and when he did then just pulled it wrong side of the goal. There is that breeze we mentioned that's blown down to the golf course end, so favouring Castleknock in this first half. That's maybe impacted on some of the Crokes shots. Still, the quality of shooting throughout has been, you know, so good from both sides, and the work rate really good.
Connolly looking for Swan and finding him. Swan down the line for Kilkenny. O'Carroll following him. Kilkenny. He's got McDaniel to the right. Kilkenny just takes the point himself. 5 for Kilkenny, all from play.
Yeah, that's a really big score. Held off. Rory O'Carroll came in on himself. Maybe there was half chance goal. He was thinking score better than nothing, so fists it over the bar. Really good again. The kick out though from Connolly was brilliant to Luke Swan. He just put it in front of him, so it gave Swan the advantage. Brilliant kick out.
Mark O'Leary. Horan. Back to O'Carroll. O'Carroll is in that James McCarthy bracket of moving well despite the fact that he's made of granite. Theo Clancy. Horan back to O'Carroll. Ballymun got that big win yesterday. They needed that. Remember, all the tables available now on DublinGAA.com. Here's O'Carroll. There's a bit of off-the-ball stuff. We'll come back to that in a second when it stops. Darragh Dempsey is converged upon. The referee says that he hung on to it for too long, and it's a free out.
Yeah, a bit of off-the-ball stuff. That was, you know, Rob Shaw, Paul Mannion certainly involved in a big hit when Dempsey won the ball. 3 Castleknock players converged and wasn't able to get himself freed up. Brilliant work from Castleknock to turn it over, but Mannion very unhappy with the decision that didn't come, you know, earlier in the move.
Jerry McDermott Rowe. Playing a deeper role at times today, Jerry McDermott Rowe from Roscommon. That's a good diag. Boland's trying to get there. Will he get there? No, the idea was good. The execution just a little bit off.
Yeah, unlucky, but he had his hand up. He was looking for the pass inside, just a little bit too much on it. Heading for half time. Can Castleknock engineer something to leave us level at the break? The answer to that would be a no.
3-6, Kilmacud Crokes, 1-11. Castleknock, what a first half of football.
Yeah, brilliant. You know, we didn't expect maybe Castleknock to come and what came in that opening 6-minute salvo, but brilliant start for them. Hit the back of the net, probably sparked Kilmacud Crokes into life. Admittedly, when Kilmacud at the other end of the field anything that is anyway goal chance, they're trying to sneak it out, head one off the upright or off the post as well. So they've been really good in front of goal, Kilmacud Crokes, but a brilliant first half, really entertaining.
Well, let's have a look at the highlights, and this could take a while because there was some amount of them.
Yeah, well, if we have them all in, there's plenty of scores to look at. You know, Paul Mannion, how often have we seen this? Just sits back, gets on the ball. He opened the scoring inside the first, 20, 30 seconds. But after that, it was all Castleknock. It came from work rate and turnovers. Kieran Kilkenny picks up the ball off his left foot, matches what Mannion did a couple of minutes earlier. Arguably, goal chance here that could have come for Conor Chalk. Put huge pressure on Ferris. Decided he was going to try and take on Rory O'Carroll when he turned back on himself. Opted to go for the point instead. And then that was backed up fairly quickly by another score. Came from Forker, brilliant run across, again from a press on Conor Ferris's kick out. And then a fourth score on the spin. Half chance goal, look at Kilkenny sneaks inside. Could he have kept it lower? Maybe he was thinking better.
O'Connor was back on the line as well. So
this is brilliant though. Great hands from McDaniel, shoves it across the chalk, and it's 1-4 to a point after 6 minutes. But look at this response. Shane Horan pops it to Cunningham. Two Castleknock players head towards Cunningham, leaves Horn on his own. Brilliant feet to switch back onto his left. Through the goalkeeper. Gets a great response. And then that's backed up by a second goal. Defensively, he'd be disappointed, the full-back, Kieran Murphy. What a finish, though. Ball drops in front of the goalkeeper. Pops it over him, soccer style. 2-1. But a great response from Kilkenny. Came back again. He's had 5 points in the first half. Put them a point to the good. That was 1-5 to 2-1, and we were just on the 11-minute mark. It just shows you how the scores were coming at that stage. Brilliant score again there from Luke Swan. And for the second time, it was a third point on the spin for Castleknock. This time McDaniel turned inside out to stick it over the bar. 1-7 to 2-1 after the quarter-hour mark. Probably a little bit more Kilmacud Crokes from that stage. Great ball, a pass inside. Cunningham gets inside. Half chance goal, knocks it over the bar. Really good for Crokes. And then great coming onto the ball. It's all about bringing that speed, bringing that pace into the move. Allows Dara Dempsey to add a score. And great work. Great feed. Unlucky centre-back loses his feet. Think another goal is coming there. Very disappointed. But they didn't have to wait too long from Dara Dempsey's chance that came off the post. Great score from Mannion. You mentioned it in commentary, Ush. How often have we seen that move, be it in a Dublin shirt or a Kilmacud Crokes jersey. Went again for another one. Dropped short. Thought there was a nudge in the back, there wasn't, but watch Walsh, great finish, just cuts the ball across himself. 3-4 then to 1-7. Thinking Crokes were getting into the ascendancy, but they decided not. Great demand from Kilkenny, looking for the pass to knock it over the bar for another score. And they backed it up again. McDaniel once more. Ball comes out to Swan, finds McDaniel, doesn't even look, just knows where he's trying to send that, drops it over the bar. 1-9, 3-4, 23 minutes on the clock. A little bit of Crokes pressure came again. Mannion went for another one, but again when it dropped short, great work from Kenny. Brilliant work from the defender. Boland didn't allow him go for the goal. Kenny knocks it over the bar. And then another score. Wing forward, number 12, Cian O'Connor, and it was called in commentary there. Each one of the Kilmacud folk has scored from play. Great work here. We mentioned Rob Shaw, the threat he has coming up from the back to add a score. And then the last play of the game, was there a chance for goal? Kilkenny does brilliant to hold off Rory O'Carroll, very experienced himself. It's opening up, he's directing for goal, probably too wide, and there was players coming back around and made the right decision to knock it over the bar. Wraps it up at 1-11 to 3-6. But across the first half, really great score taken, great effort from both teams. Looking forward to similar in the second half. Brilliant first half performance from both Castleknock and Kilmacud Crokes.
Weather-wise, it doesn't know what to do with itself. You might have heard it there. We just had a gust of wind come into the commentary box. That wind is actually getting a bit stronger, and it will be with Kilmacud Crokes in the second half. How big an advantage is that? How big a factor could that be?
Well, given the ability they have in the likes of Mannion, Walsh, Mullen, or sorry, not Mullen, but Hugh Kenny and Dara Dempsey, and then again Cunningham, the way he plays, they'll be well able to take scores from 40 yards out the field. So what's the ask of Castleknock? They'll have to push forward a little bit. What problem does that create? Well, then you're leaving space in behind, given how good Kilmacud have been in terms of getting those goals in the first half and one off the post. There's a danger there in whether you stick or twist. I think they probably have to man up, push out, and not allow them to sit back and pull off those scores and hope that your full back line are able to meet what Kilmacud have in their inside line. But I also think from a Castleknock perspective, they've demonstrated that they've pace, they can get at Kilmacud Crokes. If they can let ball into McDaniel, he's a willing worker inside there. Another goal puts another a spin on the game. So certainly with win behind them, you'd fancy Kilmacud Crokes, but given the first half performance that Castleknock have given, they'll certainly come out second half with lots of fight and spirit.
Okay, half time here in Parnell Park in this go ahead Dublin Senior 1 Football Championship encounter. Crokes leading by 111 to 3-6. The scoreline the other way around there. Kilmacud Crokes have the 3-6. Castleknock have the 111, but it is Crokes who lead by 2 after just over 6 minutes gone in the game. It was 1-4 to 1 point in favour of Castleknock, but they've traded some blows since. It's been an incredibly entertaining encounter. Let's hope that level of entertainment stays and maybe even gets a bit higher in the second half. We will be back for that second half. Stay with us. Welcome back for the second half of this encounter of Kilmacud Crokes and Castleknock. 3-6 to 111, the score at the break. The winner of this will go through to the quarter-final. Castleknock and Kilmacud Crokes will both see their last games as winnable. So all not lost for the loser of this game. But why not do it today and make sure of it? Kilmacud Crokes will take on Skerries Harps in the last game. Skerries Harps have just beaten St. Sylvester. St. Sylvester's will take on Castleknock in the last game. Remember, the team that finishes fourth in the group goes into the relegation playoff. The team that finishes third guarantees their status for next season. And the top two go to the quarterfinals. Craig Diaz pushed the ball into the path of Mark O'Leary. Kilmacud Crokes in white. Castleknock in the Tipperary style blue and gold. Diaz is fouled by Owen O'Brien. It's a free in. Diaz wants to take it quickly. Mark O'Leary ran the other way. Diaz wanted him to run to him, but Paul Mannion will have a go off this.
Yeah, and this is where you could see the benefit of the wind, influence of the wind, or the conditions, if you want to say that. He's 47, 48 metres out. He'll probably take a couple of steps before he puts his boot to it. But he won't have to hit it as much harder than he was doing in the opening half for the wind to help him out here.
Brilliant is the shout.
Yeah,
it was brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. Great score. Opened the scoring in the first minute of the first half. Done the same here in the second half. Nonchalantly knocks it over from 45 metres out the field. Great score, great start for Crokes second half.
Morven Connolly. It's a weird day weather-wise. The sun is in his eyes, but that sun could disappear any second. Well taken, Hugh Kenny. He's dispossessed. Then Senan Forker was dispossessed. It's frantic, Hugh Kenny. Dempsey was running in front of him, went backwards to Horan. Now it's Mannion. Mannion finds Cunningham. Cunningham, who scored 1-1 so far in this game. Mannion. That's a cross towards Dempsey, but it's taken by Shields. Boland, Connolly, Boland. Can he get there? He can. Tom Shields, Kieran Murphy. Remember, it can end in a draw, by the way, because it's round robin football. That's touched on the ground by Kieran Murphy. It's a free into Crokes, who are having a fine start to the second half. Back to hurling in Dublin next weekend, by the way. We've got live games on Dubs TV. You can get the detail on the Dublin GA website and, of course, the social media channels. The matches live on Friday night and Saturday afternoon.
It'll be interesting to see how far Mannion sends this out wide, to see if the wind can bring it back from.
Mannion. Will it turn? No.
Too far. Third wide, first from a free, two from play in the opening half. Left a couple short to the goalkeeper.
Owen O'Brien, Rob Shaw. Rob Shaw, who was so unlucky on one of the Kilmacud Crokes goals. He got back on the line. I think he got something on it. He just couldn't keep it out. Did his best. A fine player. He's having a fine match here. Luke Swan. That's a good ball. Shields. Boland. Shields. Go, go, go is the call from Owen O'Brien. Gives it to Stevenson. Gap opened up by O'Brien, just blocking off Mark O'Leary. Stevenson runs through that gap. Choke. McDaniel. Inside to Stevenson. He's at a tight angle. Makes a better angle. Gives it to O'Shea. Or I beg your pardon, that's not O'Shea. That's Cian Boyle, who's come on for the second half. And that's adjudged to have gone wide. Well, now it's a 45.
Yeah, I think right decision. Diaz coming back there, looked to me to get a hand on it. Great move. McDaniel, Stevenson kept on the run after a really powerful run before that. Popped it across. Yeah, great work from Diaz to get in around it. Interesting, in the first half seemed to be Rory O'Carroll who was picking up Kieran Kilkenny. Now looks like that it's full back Theo Clancy who's been given the job second half. 5 from play from Kilkenny in the opening half.
Here's Luke Swan. Don't think he's caught it right. Might stay in play. Ferris grabs it. Gives it to Mannion. Cian Boyle chasing him. Mannion dropped it but kept it going. Mannion soccer style down the wing. It's going to be intercepted by Forker. He didn't get to it. Here's Cunningham. Cunningham turned into O'Brien and half volleyed it down the line towards Dempsey, but Kieran Murphy was out in front. Murphy did well, kept his head. Boland has to be cool here. Fox with that octopus type tackle, but it's Shields who runs onto it. Shields assessing the options. Shaw's out wide. Swan is inside. Goes backwards instead to Forker. Boland. Stevenson. Great work from Stevenson. Back outside to Boland. There might be something here for Castleknock. They're queuing up. Here's Swan. Good score from Luke Swan.
Great score from Castleknock, great movement. Stevenson, very good start to the second half. Keeps getting on ball, creating stuff, but it's just that running off the shoulder. Great work.
Ball breaks kindly for Hugh Kenny. Kenny bends the back. Andy Fox. Shane Walsh. It's a risky one from Walsh. Kilmacud Crokes keep it just about. Craig Diaz. 3 around him.
Yeah, I don't think the pass was on when he tried to give it to Dan O'Brien. Dan O'Brien was flying past him, but he probably should have checked rather than giving it on to him. They did well to secure possession, Kilmacud Crokes. Scored one from maybe 6 metres further back. Again, grab a couple of steps on this one, but you'd expect him to knock this one over.
With the breeze at his back. Into the golf course end it goes. And wide it goes.
Misjudged it. You know, despite the fact that they have the firepower up front, you know, they're putting a big press on Castleknock early in the second half here. It's a point apiece, point between the sides.
4 wides now for Kilmacud Crokes. Boyle tries to get there and doesn't. Kenny. Horan waits, receives. Horan back out to Cunningham. Cunningham. That might drop. Connolly has to be careful. He is. He did well. Did he go behind the line? Dara Dempsey thinks so. The umpires don't.
No, umpires never flinched. He did brilliant to get hands on it, secure it, and keep the ball out from the goal because it was dropping dangerously on him. Great goalkeeping.
Yeah, fantastic work. Kilkenny gives to Swan. 1 point apiece so far in the second half. By this stage in the first half, it was 1-4 to 1. That stat might be amended now. That's a great save by Ferris from the hands of Dara Warnock. Great running from Stevenson. Warnock so unlucky, denied by a brilliant Ferris save. Forker. Swan. Swan with a good pass. Castleknock lose it. O'Carroll is fouled free out.
Ah, so unlucky from Stevenson. Probably could have backed himself. He was on his left side. Threw it across the goal, looking to see if they could maybe get a hand passed in. This is the ball that comes in from Cunningham that puts Connolly under pressure. Drops in on top of him. I think he did well. I think
never behind the line.
Yeah, I think both.
And here's that Castleknock chance. Or the build-up 2-1. They'll hope. Here's Owen O'Brien. Rob O'Shea. Cian Boyle. Rob Shaw took it and moved very well off to the right. The kick not so good.
Yeah, just couldn't seem to get his feet right there. He was trying to settle himself, didn't manage to get it. Substitute coming in might give us an opportunity to look back at that goal chance. Yeah, Stevenson mentioned he's been brilliant since the start of the second half. Couldn't through. Would he have gone himself? Decided not to throw it across. Brilliant from Ferris, the size of him in goals. Stuck his hand out, knocked it out. Great save, but a huge opportunity. Chance missed for Castleknock.
Crokes have put up the flat signal. Liam Flatman comes in. He replaces Shane Walsh.
Not a bad fella to bring in. You know, Shane Walsh probably still coming back to fitness. Hasn't probably a huge amount of football under his belt. In the club scene, certainly.
Craig Diaz running after it. Owen O'Brien getting the better of him, but fouling him, and it's a free in to Kilmacud Crokes.
Yeah, I think Diaz is... has been lucky there. You know, they were both tackling for the ball or looking to work a bit of space for the ball. I thought Owen O'Brien did brilliant there to get back in front of Craig Diaz. Referee deemed that he had pulled him back. Not so sure the decision would have gone the other way had Diaz managed to get in front, and they were both striking and pulling at each other. You know, for all the firepower, Crokes struggling really to have an impact from play in this opening 10 minutes of the second half.
Mannion doesn't have the legs. Connolly, oh, that could have gone anywhere. And it falls kindly for Kenny, but Kenny couldn't get it. Now Connolly has it back, and he's fouled it to free out. Well, that was a frightening moment for Castleknock.
Unbelievable. You know, initially when it bounced back up, he had won it again, but then he looked like he was trying to hand pass it back out too quickly. Did well to secure it and then got the free out. Castleknock on the move quickly.
Here's Shaw. Good ball into the hands of Kieran Kilkenny. Well taken by Shields. Shields. It's wide. Well, we mentioned before that Castleknock aren't around that long. This year is their 25th anniversary. It's mad to think that there were players on that pitch who were older than the club itself. They've got a big fundraiser this year. Go to win250grand.com to find out more. That's 250 the number, so win250grand.com for more. That's a big Castleknock fundraiser that's going on this year. 3 of their first teams are in the top tiers of their competitions. Doesn't that say an awful lot about Castleknock and what they've done in the short space of time that they've been around?
Yeah, like 25 years, not a huge amount of time for them to be as where they are in terms of their club development has been fantastic for them.
Good ball to Andy Fox. Andy Fox hangs it up in the sky. Advantage was being played anyway. Rob Shaw's not happy. You can understand why.
Probably a couple of decisions missed by the referee there. It's hard to see everything, but certainly, you know, on the Crokes sideline were very animated on a couple of tackles on Shane Cunningham there. Rob Shaw probably going to get an entry into the referee's notebook here.
Well, let's have a look at that
yellow
scramble
card.
or frantic moment, whatever way you want to call it.
Yeah. He did brilliant here to win it, but then it just popped out of his hand. Sorry, I thought he maybe had hand passed it back, but it popped out again. He did brilliant then to recollect it.
That bouncing ball in front of the goalkeeper, it's always awkward for goalkeepers. Connolly did well to recover there. Here's Mannion. Off the woodwork, and it got away from Dempsey. It falls kindly for Kieran Murphy. Shaw. Horan gets it back for Crokes. Horan has Mannion with him. He might need him. Horan off the woodwork again.
Oh my God, what a remarkable couple of minutes there for Crokes. Ball's bouncing in front of the goalkeeper, they can't get it. Paul Mannion has had 4 frees. I think he's only managed to get one of them, one off the upright again, another one off the upright. So while they might be, you know, getting on top slightly from possession, they're not managing to turn that dominance on the scoreboard, so it keeps Castleknock well in the game.
16-15 when you make the conversion. Mark O'Leary gets the ball, nonchalantly picks it up, gives it to Dempsey. Moved on from Kenny to Dempsey. Dempsey, little bit of overcooking there from Dempsey.
Yeah, but brilliant by Forker. It was him who turned over the ball initially, worked himself back to get a hand on it to win it back for Castleknock. Great work.
Kilkenny, followed by Clancy. Dropped by Forker. Kilkenny wins it back. Brilliant stuff from Kieran Kilkenny. Came off the Crokes man, goes out for a line ball to Castleknock.
Yeah, Theo Clancy a lot tighter to him than Rory O'Carroll was, so he's finding it maybe a little bit more difficult to influence the game with scores, but he's certainly still looking for possession, looking to get on the ball and try and help out the team.
We almost had a draw in our first game. There was just one between them in the end. You wouldn't bet against a draw here, would you? Rob O'Shea going out to the other Rob. That's Shaw. Cian O'Connor looks to close him down. Cian Boland there too. Cian Boland. Luke Swan. Chalk, who got that outstanding goal for Castleknock in the first half. Shields. Chalk. O'Brien. Chalk. McDaniel. Pops it up for Boland. Back to Boland. What can they do with it? Swan. Swan's around it. And Dempsey gets it back for Kilmacud. Crokes. Gives to Diaz. Mannion. Dempsey. taking off his cornerback Dan O'Brien. Well taken by Mark O'Leary. Finds Cunningham. Cunningham up against Murphy. Flatman making the run. Cunningham. Not sure how he kept the ball there. It was an unusual solo, but it worked. Here's Flatman. Good block, Rob O'Shea. And Rob O'Shea wins the possession back.
Great work from Thomas Shea, has just flicked the ball back there as well to get Castleknock away again. Forcing it a little bit up front, Crokes, so they're giving chances to Castleknock.
And here they come again, it's Forker. Was that a foul by Horan? Referee playing advantage, Kilkenny. Stevenson. Kieran Kilkenny. Outside to McDaniel. McDaniel taking on O'Carroll. McDaniel. Fine score from McDaniel. His third of the game, all of them from play.
That's a brilliant score. He jinked left and came back on the right there to create the space for himself to knock it over the bar. Brilliant score. Just how he created the space was excellent. And despite the dominance that Kilmacud have had, they haven't managed to put it on the scoreboard. Draw game. Quarter of the way through the second half. They're ringing a few changes in terms of bringing them in. So big opportunity for Castleknock.
Ben Gallivan is in for Castleknock, very experienced. Going off is Darragh Warnock. Crokes have also made a change. Rob Shaw tracking back. Cunningham can't get there either. Line ball to Castleknock. Boland. Shields. Murphy. Shields. Connolly. That wind is picking up, by the way. It's getting stronger. It's blowing into the golf course end, so favouring Kilmacud Crokes. Here's Chalk. Shaw. Shaw has some battery, doesn't he?
Yeah, unbelievable. I was just looking. In the opening quarter of the first half, it'd be in the region of 12 scores. We've only got 3 scores in this second half, so that, you know, exciting opening that we had has settled itself. But the benefit of that is there's a real game in front of us in terms of who can go ahead and try and win the match, because it's, you know, well in Castleknock's remit here, the way they're playing. You know, I won't call it a surprise, but, you know, it'd be a big scalp for them to get if they can keep going the way they're going, create a couple of more scoring opportunities. Crokes certainly have the firepower to win the game if they get the opportunity, but Castleknock playing very well at the moment.
Owen O'Brien. It would be a tremor rather than an earthquake if Castleknock were to win this game, but long way to go yet. Craig Diaz.
Great work from Kilmacud Crokes, stuck at it, very disciplined in terms of their work rate coming back. The amount of work the forwards put in their tackling is brilliant, backs up the defenders as well.
Hugh Kenny. It's a good pass from Hugh Kenny. He picked out his man well. That man is Callum Pearson. Back to Cian O'Connor. Cian O'Connor trying to get around Stevenson. Cian O'Connor. Stevenson did well, just breathing down his neck all the way.
Yeah, enough done defensively to put pressure on him, but it's just a case of them squeezing it or forcing it a little bit too much, Castleknock or Kilmacud Crokes. You know, the breezes behind them, maybe thought that was going to be of a more benefit to them than it has been in this second half. Great hand from Paul Mannion, turns it over again.
Cian O'Connor. Cian O'Connor, back to the cornerback James Murphy. Horan. Flatman. O'Shea waits for Flatman. Horan. Mannion. Mannion up against Shaw. Diaz comes closer to the ball, didn't get it, but drew a marker with him, Dan O'Brien. James Murphy. Murphy spots Diaz, just a little bit too much on that one. It breaks kindly for Crokes. It's Kenny, it's a goal.
Yeah, a couple of players badly hurt in the move, but Kenny did brilliant to get in the end of the move. We've seen Diaz make that run so many times where he gets in behind. He dragged 2 defenders with him. The 3 of them crashed into each other, left Kenny inside unmarked. Did brilliant to slot it into the net. Dan O'Brien, who's holding on to the ball just to look to recycle. But look at Diaz, he slips in here. He's done this so many times. Great defending, almost had him shut down. Did brilliant to get a hand on it. Great, definitely Diaz who got the touch on it, freed it up for Hugh Kenny, and a great finish. struggled to create in the second half from play, Crokes. Their first score from play, in fact, is that goal that Hugh Kenny's after netting. But it could be a critical score at this juncture in the game.
Coola 7 points to 6 up against Lucan, by the way, in the game that's going on in O'Toole Park. It's now actually 12-11 to Coola. I've just got an update as I'm speaking to you. So Coola 12-11 up in that game against Lucan. That's in O'Toole Park.
Yeah, Dias heading for the sideline. Maybe it's a blood substitution. Took a heavy hit, in fairness to him. Very brave in the move because the ball was just gone ahead of him, but he did get a hand on it, knocked it into Kenny to create the goal scoring opportunity, and Kenny, as cool as ice, rounded the goalkeeper to net it.
Jeff Kenny comes in. Well, it was well taken by Hugh Kenny, but I think it has to go down as lucky.
I think bravery from Craig Dice there. He made the space for himself to get in front of the two defenders to get his hand on it. Kenny did brilliant then to walk around the goalkeeper and stick it into the net. So you make your own luck, as they say.
Here's Paul Mannion. Oh, that is beautiful.
Well, he had a little bit of practice with some of the frees. Probably didn't go the way he had hoped they'd go. That's a great finish. Backs up the goal with another score. Just opens up that 4-point deficit now.
Castleknock not done yet. Oh, Carroll wins the free. Crokes have got on top with some good scores. 2 points in a row, or 2 scores in a row. One of them a goal, one of them a point.
Yeah, difficult to see Castleknock hitting 5 points. So there's probably a goal needed if they're to turn things round. Pearson turns quickly. And scores.
It's not bad, is it, when you can bring players like Callum Pearson off the bench?
Well, that's the strength and depth that they have. It was evident when the team was named initially. You had Paul Mannion and Shane Modge named as substitutes, and they've both come in. But you've played this without Darragh Mullen, who's one of Crokes' standout forwards and has been for the last number of years. So that's the strength and depth they have. Huge benefit to be able to bring in some of that pace, power that Pearson brings. And the breeze has probably lifted a little bit. Difficult row back for Castleknock now.
Craig Diaz is back on. That's good to see. And as you say, he was brave while setting up that goal. I was probably being a tad harsh by saying Crokes were lucky, but
yeah, probably the luck did fall their way, but you have to put yourself, and he did, picked up a knock from it, but got himself in the route, tipped the ball away.
Kevin Kinlan has come on for Castleknock. We mentioned that Crokes have a good bench. Castleknock's isn't bad either. They're able to bring on the likes of Ben Galvin and Kevin Kinlan. Cian Boyle also in.
Great take, Stevenson in the middle of the field. Breeze just held it up slightly for him, but he still has to get up and collect, which he did.
Shields, Kilkenny. Remember, these two won their opening matches, so they have a bit of room to manoeuvre regardless of what happens here. Boyle looking inside. Galvin just got away from him. James Murphy tidies it up. Galvin fouls him free out.
Yeah, they know they probably need a goal, so maybe they're forcing, just looking to try and create something in front of goal.
And that was inside to Rob O'Shea rather than Cian Boyle. I have to say, they're boot twins, and it's kind of confusing.
Need to invest in a pair of those. I'm still in speciality territory.
Well, Cian's are more kind of pink than O'Shea's, which are kind of red, but I find it very hard to distinguish colours, so they actually both look identical. Here's Dan O'Brien. Flatman. Stevenson tries to get to him. Kilkenny there as well. Dan O'Brien. Dan O'Brien surrounded, but recycles it well. Here's Paul Mannion. Mark O'Leary. Cian O'Connor wanted it on the wing. They went back to Mannion instead. Now Cian O'Connor. Running on to it, Mark O'Leary. James Murphy. Cian O'Connor. Cian O'Connor gets inside Forker. Callum Pearson wants it and gets it. He's got Shields for company. Squeezes a path through. Was there a push? Referee says yes.
Yeah, shoveled it through. Pearson, Andy Fox coming across. Probably did get a dunt in the back. Probably one of the easier of the frees that Paul Mannion will kick in the second half.
Jeff Kenny back in, this time as a permanent replacement.
Yeah, in fairness to Kilmacud, you know, they had identified some of the challenge areas they had in the first half. They put Theo Clancy out on Kieran Kilkenny. He hasn't been as proficient from play as he was in the first half.
Mannion steers it in.
So despite the period where they went without a score, you know, the bones of 20 minutes or thereabouts, Castleknock were unable to score really at the other end, so they've really dominated in the last couple of minutes.
It is Diaz, by the way, who went off. Swan couldn't make it his. Cunningham. Horan. Horan hangs on to it, tries to get away from Rob O'Shea. Here's O'Carroll. Swan tackled him, but he got it back to Cunningham, who gives it to Kenny. Mannion. 410 is 12 points. 113 is 16 points. In the second half, Crokes lead 1-4 to 2 points. That'll tell you how much tighter it has been in the second half. Cian O'Connor tries to open it up a bit more. Here's Callum Pearson. Andy Fox. Callum Pearson trying to shake off Shields. Theo Clancy. O'Carroll. O'Carroll will have a go and not succeed.
Yeah, again, not something that you'd usually see him take on from that type of distance with wind behind his back. Again, fancied it. Interesting, out of the 1-4 to 2 points. 1-3 of that's only come in the last 6 minutes, so the game has really been in the melting pot up until the 50th minute. That goal from Hugh Kenny, great work from Dias and batting it on to him. Probably the big turning point, just taking the game away from Castleknock.
Rob O'Shea. Shields. Owen O'Brien. Cunningham stood strong. Shields, who's very like Kieran Kilkenny in the sense that they both have white boots, but also the kind of the blondish hair and the shoulders, the movement of the two of them. It's
very similar in certainly from distance, very similar in how they are. But great work from Kilmacud Crokes. They don't allow Castleknock out easy. Forwards working so hard to not allow them get a ball away.
Shaw. Galvin. Boyle's moving on the outside. It's Shaw. Galvin. Galvin trying to get around Flatman. Galvin still going somehow. Back out to Shaw. Kilkenny. He's got a deceptive burst of pace off the mark, Kilkenny, doesn't he? Maybe because we're seeing him up close today, you notice it more. I don't think it's something you pick up on as much in Croke Park.
Yeah, and it's that pace that tries to open up something or create something. So he's getting out of the busy area to try and get into where the space is, and that's why he's...
Oh, what a pickpocketing by Shane Horan. And then the free out is awarded. Swan brought him down.
But many times have you said that in commentary, be it Shane Horan or Cunningham or Paul Mannion, it's the Crokes forwards getting back. Hugh Kenny, they're working so hard to help out in the defensive setup that Kilmacud Crokes have, and that allows the likes of Dan O'Brien to do the man marking job, knowing that there's defenders coming back to try and, or attackers coming back to help them out.
Cian O'Connor is Dan O'Brien running with them. Good ball to Dan O'Brien, who runs onto it. Dan O'Brien takes his points. Cunningham was standing isolated and free in the square, but instead he just said, I'll kick it over. I'll make sure.
Yeah, I think he was kind of half thinking maybe to go goal. He had his head down to do that. It's, you know, that last 10 minutes where you can see the big difference here from Crokes. 3-7, 113 after 45 minutes. Score now is 4-11, 113, and it's just that dominance that Crokes have had now translating onto the scoreboard.
Well, they were level for the fourth time after 45 minutes, but since that, Kilmacud Crokes have turned on the afterburners. Galvin. Galvin looking to open them up if he possibly can. Castleknock, who haven't scored since the 45th minute. Kilkenny back towards Shields. Cian Boyle. Castleknock will play St. Sylvester's in their last game. You would fancy them to win that, and that should be enough to put them through. Tommy McDaniel. Now, you never know. Sylvester's were decent against Skerries Harps, but if you're being honest, you would fancy Castleknock there. Crokes will be up against Skerries Harps. Skerries Harps, having won today, need a victory to try and get through to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, great work for McDaniel there to engineer the free. When he comes into the game, the pace he brings, really quick feet, turn inside 2 Crokes players. Taps it over the bar, hopes that maybe Castleknock can push up on a kick out and see if they can work something else.
McDaniel, second score of the second half for him.
And as you called out there, first score in a quarter of an hour for Castleknock.
Ferris assessing his options. Crokes lose the possession. Shields, it was in doubt for a second or two. The ball went loose in the middle of the park. Castleknock win it back. Owen O'Brien.
Forker did brilliant to shovel it on. A little bit of space here for Castleknock maybe.
Kieran Kilkenny. They need a goal or two. Stevenson. Stevenson to Galvin. It's intercepted. Great work from Jeff Kenny to get across.
Yeah, really, a little hand that had such a big difference in where that move was going. Was the spearman coming in on the right side off Stevenson's pass, but the hand on the ball took the pace out of it, allowed Crokes recover. Now again, great work defensively from Kilmacud.
I mentioned the final fixtures in this group. As with all the other groups, those fixtures will be confirmed in the next day or so. Keep an eye out on the Dublin GA website and social media channels. Connolly goes short. He'll have to go again.
Yeah.
Crokes making a double substitution.
Yeah, Robbie Brennan will probably be pleased. Obviously, will be pleased that they've got a result out of this, but they've left a lot of scores behind them. 5 or 6 wides in the second half. Dominated possession in a lot of areas, but they've, you know, for a large portion of the second half, left the door open for Castleknock. Castleknock will be pleased, certainly with elements of their performance, and with, you know, breeze blown into their face was always going to be a difficult second half against the quality and the bench that Kilmacud Crokes have to offer.
Goal scorers Shane Horan and Hugh Kenny are going off. Dan Murphy and Tom Fox come in. Castleknock, what have they got left? Shaw, they won't give up, we know that for sure and certain. Shaw is going to take his points. Unfortunately for him, it's wide. 23 points plays, 17 points when you make the conversion.
Yeah, not sure the value of Shaw taking on the effort. Certainly, you know, maybe scoring differences in his mind, but you know, there was opportunity, there was runners ahead of him that maybe could have gone for something a little bit different there.
Mark O'Leary gave to Dan O'Brien, who we saw blazing a point over a couple of minutes ago. Carroll. Cian O'Connor. So many of these players on both teams fall into that in any other county bracket. In any other county, they'd be part of their county setup. Mark O'Leary. Galvin blocked it. O'Leary got it back. Here's Mannion. Mannion could have gone to Pearson. Takes it on himself. And misses.
Yeah, and Rob Shaw, just in tracking back for that move, is just on the ground here in front of us. Hopefully more cramped than anything else. He's you know, put in a big shift over the 60+ minutes. Mannion pulls another one wide.
Owen O'Brien, tackled hard by Andy Fox, but O'Brien is hard to knock off the ball. He's fouled, it's a free in.
Yeah, it was fouled and ball pulled back. Arm was pulled back. But you know, the physicality in the Crokes tackle, that first, you know, contact is so physical from Kilmacud.
Cian Boyle. Kilkenny. Forker. O'Carroll holding on to him. And Forker is blown for overcarrying.
Well, I'm not quite sure how the referee could have given an overcarrying. To me, it looked like Rory O'Carroll had both arms around sending Forker in that move. He couldn't even get the ball down to his boot. Referee deemed he was after travelling the distance.
And that's the final play of the game. Kilmacud Crokes safely through to the next round. They've beaten Castleknock 4-11 to 114. I can tell you in O'Toole Park, Coola have won by 5 against Lucan, 17 points to 12, the final score in that game. Earlier on, Vincent's beaten by St. Jude's in O'Toole Park, and here St. Sylvester's losing by 1 against Skerries Harps. That's in this group, that's Skerries Harps St. Sylvester's game. So Kilmacud Crokes are now on 4 points, having played 2 and won 2. They beat Sylvester's and now Castleknock. Castleknock are on 2 points, Skerries are on 2 points, Sylvester's are on no points. The next round of fixtures sees Castleknock take on Skerries. No, it sees Castleknock take on St. Sylvester's and Skerries take on Kilmacud Crokes. Coleman Goggins, what did you make of this game?
Look, you're looking at the favourites for the Dublin Championship for a very obvious reason. They have strength and depth. Coming off the bench, obviously, they have their first 15 that can deliver for them on the field. You've seen in the first half when they went after Castleknock that they were able to create goal-scoring opportunities at their leisure. Probably didn't have the same return in the second half. Obviously didn't have the same return in the second half as they did in the first half. But, they're so strong it's going to be hard for any team to take that Dublin crown from them. The flip side of that is Castleknock, so good for 45 minutes of the game. Brilliant first half, totally used the elements, but put real press on Conor Ferris, and maybe 1 or 2 goal-scoring opportunities that early on in the first half left behind them that would have put a different slant on the scoreboard. But, very entertaining game. Interesting in the first half, we had 12 scores inside the first 15 minutes. We only had 9 scores across the entirety of the second half. The difference in the game, but Crokes really dominant, I'd say, throughout, you have to say.
That means that you will have had to have worked harder at half-time than you will at full-time, in theory.
Correct. We'll be gone now here.
But you know what? We're going to show the goals from the first half as well as all of the second half scores. Let's take a look first at those second half scores.
Yeah, well, look, I mentioned Crokes' dominance. They struggled for 50 minutes. They got 1 point from free from Paul Mannion, and that was the only score they got for almost the bones of 20 minutes. Castleknock were a little bit better in terms of their scores. They had both scores came from play. Their first one there from Luke Swan, and then the second came from their McDaniel, who was very good for them throughout. But it was a long time where they were working on it. It was maybe a shout that the ball had crossed the line, but I don't think it had. Big opportunity here. Thought Stevenson could have probably gone himself. Brilliant save from Ferris just to knock it away from the flicked hand of Dara Warnock. And then, Mannion, who was on a lot of the frees, left a couple wide, 1 drop short. Another incident here where Mervyn Connolly did his best to, keep it out from the net and managed to do so in the end. But again, great work. McDaniel shows left, comes back on his right. Great score. Had a good game, Tommy McDaniel. At that stage, it was a draw game. It was 3-7, 1-13, and Castleknock were well in the game. But from that point forward, Crokes were totally dominant. And it was probably this score that turned the game. Dan O'Brien throws it back into the centre there. Great run from Diaz. But just watch the bravery here, and his hand, it's his hand that pops the ball through to Kenny. So maybe there's an element to look that the ball goes to Kenny, but there's bravery in terms of creating that. That was 4-7, 1-13, and from there then it was Crokes that seen it home. Paul Mannion adds another to his score. Callum Pearson came in off the sideline, a huge man. Mannion picks him out with a ball, doesn't really have to do a whole pile and part to turn and just knock it over the bar. And then Mannion free again, had it at 4-10 to 1-13. And it was game over really from after the goal. It was Dan O'Brien who put a final glass on it from a Crokes perspective, driving through the middle. Probably half thought maybe there's a goal on here. Not often that he gets himself on the goal scoring side of things, but he's well able to take a point. And then McDaniel wrapped it up from a scoring perspective from Castleknock and in totality. But just that last 15 minutes, they outscored Castleknock by 1-5 to a point.
Okay, let's have a look at the goals from the first half. This is Chalk. A wonderful finish.
It was really the run from Chalk through the middle. McDaniel, how he picked up the ball and turned, it came across him. There was probably a goal chance earlier that from him, and it was a brilliant start. The problem was they allowed Crokes to respond too quick. Both defenders sucked towards the ball there. But brilliant feet from Shane Horn, turned and stuck it into the net. Unlucky from Rob Shaw not to keep it out. Similar great stuff here. Cunningham jumps right and backs himself all the way in. Despite losing the ball, Connolly comes out to shut him down. Brilliant finish. You'd be delighted with that from a soccer perspective. And then Mannion leaves one short. Connolly does well to get out in it, but Walsh just flicks it ahead of himself, turns, sticks it into the corner, no chance. 3 great goals, 4 in total in the first half. And while the game was well in the mix, as I mentioned, right up until the 45th minute, that 1-4 that Crokes got in the final 50 minutes, ultimately the difference. Strength and depth off the bench, and a great performance from Paul Mannion certainly throughout. Team to look at. Keep an eye out for Kilmacud Crokes, but certainly Castleknock heading into their game against Sylvester's gives them a great opportunity. See if they can get another win.
So Kilmacud Crokes are on 4 points after 2 games. Skerries, Harps and Castleknock both on 2 points after 2 games. St. Sylvester's bottom of the group on no points after 2 games. Sylvester's, though, very unlucky today. They played well at times as well against Kilmacud Crokes. The final round of fixtures, just to remind you, is Kilmacud Crokes against Skerries and St. Sylvester's against Castleknock. I have that right, don't I? Thank you. Coleman's nodding his head. That's okay. Keep an eye out on the Dublin GA website for the confirmation of where and when those fixtures will be. In the other group, just to remind you, Coola beat Lucan Sarsfields today, so everyone in that group has played 2 games. Thomas Davis are on 4 points. Raheny are on 2 points. Coola are on 2 points. Lucan are on no points. The remaining fixtures in that group sees Thomas Davis play Coola and Lucan play Raheny, so anything could still happen in that group. All the results, all the groups, all the fixtures available on the Dublin GA website, and of course highlights from this game and a whole bunch of other good stuff available through the Dublin GA social media channels. If you want to join the conversation, you can. Just hashtag #GoAheadDSC. That's almost it from Parnell Park, where we've seen Kilmacud Crokes play out an exciting game against Castleknock. Kilmacud Crokes assured almost of their place in the quarterfinals. Castleknock will fancy their chances of getting through. From myself and all the team here in Parnell Park, I will say goodbye and good luck.